Hello, Accelerated Math 6-7 students. We are working in Module 6, and this is Lesson 3. And Module 6, Lesson 3 is called The Mean as a Balance Point. The mean as a balance point. Okay? Okay, the mean as a balance point. So here are our notes, getting that situated so that you can see. The mean as a balance point. Today we will learn how to use the mean as a balance point to compare all other data points of the data set. That's a lot of data. You're right. Okay, so basically we're going to use the mean as the balance point to compare all the other data within that data set that we have. The question, how do you compare a data point to the mean? What does the comparison tell you? Okay, the way you compare a data point to the mean is, first of all, you have to find the mean. And then comparing an individual data point tells you how far away it is. What is the distance? Okay, and so some things to remember that are very important when understanding this lesson are, the mean is a value that shows that every data point is equally distant away from. Okay, so we have right here a picture of what we're talking about. The balance point is where the arrow sits. Okay, so let's prove it. If this is our dot plot, and this is the information that we were given to begin with, how would you determine the mean? Okay, now this hopefully is a review for you guys because I think that you have learned how to do the mean before. But basically, you take what you have, you can either do the fair share, which we learned about in yesterday's lesson. It takes a little longer, but you can completely understand it. Or you can just add up all of the data points that you have. So we have a 1, we have a 4, we have 2 5s, we have a 7, we have an 8, and we have 3 11s. Okay? Does everybody see why this is what we have? Because that's what our dot plot shows us. Okay? So basically what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to then add all of those together. So we know that these 3 together equals 33. We know that these 2 together equals 15. We know that these 2 together equals 10. And we know that these 2 together equals 5. Okay, well that's easier to add. So if I take 15 and 33, then I know it's 48. And then we know that 5 and 10 is 15. Okay, and then if we add these 2 together, we know 8 plus 5 is 13. Regroup the 1, so that's 63. So we should have a total of 63. So we have 33, 34, 8, 9, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63. Okay, nice job. Okay, so we have that all added together, and we get 63. Then we count how many there are, which there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we take 63, and we divide it by 9 because there's 9 data points, and 63 divided by 9 is 7. So as you can see, they are correct that the mean average would be 7. Okay, so we now know that the mean is 7. Once you find your mean, you put this funny looking arrow underneath it. And the reason why we put that funny looking arrow is because that arrow represents the balance point. So wherever our arrow is, that's where you're going to put the mean, and the mean is the balance point. Okay, so that's what your dot plot looks like. Now what you're trying to do is you're trying to compare a data point to the mean. So you're trying to figure out how does it compare. So if our mean is 7 and our first data point is on 7, so there is no comparison. They're equal, right? Then you look at the next one. So we're going to look at 8. 8 is 1 hop away from the mean. Does everybody see that? Okay. Now we're going to go to 11, and it happens 3 times. So how many hop away from the mean is 11? We'll count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 hops for the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 hops for the second one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 hops for the third one. So since there are 3 11s, we know that they are each 4 hops away from the mean. Do you understand this diagram so far? Okay, good. So now let's go this way. So we're trying to figure out the distance, how many hops from the mean. So the mean is 7, we go 1, 2. So there's 2. 1, 2. There's 2. That's the second one because we have 2 at 5. Now let's look at the next data point at 4. 1, 1, 2, 3. So that one is 3. Now let's look at the last one, all the way to 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that one is 6. So what you need to know about finding the comparison between each data point and the mean is it tells you the distance away from the mean, okay? And the other cool thing, if you look at this, is if you added all these together, 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. And then you have 6 plus 3 is 9, 9 plus 2 is 11, and 11 plus 2 is 13. So that's kind of cool because these are 13 units away, and these are 13 units away. So that's kind of interesting too, because that tells you where the balance point is. It means it's exactly in the middle of those two sections. Okay? And so what we're trying to find out is how to use the mean as the balance point to compare all data. The reason why you want to do that is because you're trying to figure out what is the distance away from that mean. Okay, and that leads us to this, a deviation. So a deviation is the distance away from the mean. And so we would go back, we're using the same graph up here, okay, and we're going to figure out the deviation. So the deviation from 5 to 7 is that you had to go to the left 2, so that's negative 2. From 4 to 7 would to the left 3, so that's negative 3. And then from 7 down to 1, you went to the left 6 to get down to that 1, and so it's a negative. So as you're seeing, as you deviate to the left of the mean, then those values are considered negative, and as you deviate to the right of the mean, that means that the deviations are positive. Okay? So another example of that is the next one, new graph, okay? And remember that the deviation is the distance from a data point to the mean. Again, the mean is our balance point, so we would draw a triangle under the 5, okay? So here's our balance point right here. And then your job is to figure out what is the distance from the balance point to each one. So if we're going from 5 to 4, we went to the left 1, so that makes it a negative 1. If we're going to a 3.5, then that means that we went to the left 1.5, so that's a negative 1.5. If we're going from 5 to 3, that means that we went to the left 2 times, so those are both negative 2. And if we're going to 2, we went to the left 3 times, so that's a negative 3. Do it on the other side. You're going 2 or 1.5 to the right, so that's a positive 1.5. You're going 2 to the right, so that's a positive 2. You're going 3 to the right, so that's a positive 3. And you're going 3 to the right, so that's a positive 3. So you've just determined the deviation from the balance point, okay? So basically our entire lesson is you find the mean, okay, just like we showed you how to do it on here, and then you decide what is the distance between the mean and each data set. And this is the best way to record it so that you understand it. Okay, so a little final note that you need to know, and you do need to write this in your notes. The mean is the balance point because the distance from the balance point, a data point, and its opposite will always have equal distances. Okay, so that means that if you take the opposite of a number, then the distance away from it will be exactly the same. So again, let's go back up to here. If I went from 7 to 8, the opposite of that would be going from 7 to 6, which is an equal distance. Okay, and so that's what we're talking about. All right, so playing with the mean, find the mean, it becomes your balance point. Okay, and then after you have your balance point is you find the distances from all the points that there are available. Okay, and so it's just our focus today is being that the mean is the balance point, and it's a pretty fun lesson. All right, so that's exactly what you're going to do. Oh wait, let's go back to our questions again. How do you compare a data point to the mean? How do you compare it? You tell what the distance is between. What does the comparison tell you? How far away it is from the mean. How much it is deviated from the mean. Okay, and that's the answer to that question. All right, that's all I have for you today. I'll talk to you later. Bye.